Maybe you're thinking that this video is not for you. Maybe you're super assured that you do love yourself, right? Maybe because you like to join self-love rituals, ceremonies, practices. You do yoga, you eat healthy, you do your workout. You like to read a good book, to be in nature, to look good, and you sure like to visit a good spa and give yourself some fine experience. And so do I. And so you may be thinking, this video doesn't apply to my life, because of course I love myself. I take good care of myself, right? And it's exactly with you that I want to talk today. And believe me or not, it took me a while to realize, but loving yourself is not the same as to feel loved. I thought one leads to the other, but it doesn't. You may give yourself a lot of love, a lot of pleasure, a lot of fine experience, and still at the end of the day, you don't feel loved. And that was me. That's exactly what I experienced. I used to spend most of my time every day intentionally engaged in self-love practices, healing practices, energy activations, everything. Always trying to give myself as much pleasure as possible, as much joy as possible. So what I mean by that is like always doing things that I love, always seeking for joy. And to be honest, all I wanted was to be happy, to feel that life was worth living. And so I did everything to avoid going to a low vibration, because I thought that was the way to heal my heart. But the truth is, if I didn't watch out for a second, I would easily spiral down emotionally and fall into depression. It was very exhausting to maintain that high state. No matter how much I practice self-love and doing things that bring me joy, deep inside, in my heart, in my soul, I didn't feel loved. Whenever I was alone back to my pillow at night, I had to face this internal dialogue, that constant voice inside telling me somehow, in some way, that I wasn't important, that I didn't deserve happiness and love. It happens to everybody else, but not to me. That I wasn't worthy of happiness, worthy of love, that I had no value, and that I didn't belong in this world. And even knowing that these were all lies, negative programming projected by my mind, even after all the courses and hundreds of personal development trainings I did, I still had this kind of internal dialogue. And I still believed them. And that's exactly how they made me feel almost on a daily basis. Unworthy, unimportant, lonely, not belonging, and not loved. Not loved at all. So having to manage my emotions and dealing with that constant internal message, that painful message that I was carrying with me all the time, brought me a lot of sadness that I had to deal with every day. Fluctuating through states of anxiety, depression, and deep, deep loneliness. They affected my emotions and how I saw myself. But still, a while ago, if someone would tell me that I didn't love myself or I didn't feel loved, I would think, oh no, of course I feel loved. I take care of myself, I love myself. That was my take on self-love. If I only knew that this topic is much deeper, that feeling loved is a much deeper process than self-love itself. It goes far beyond having a healthy diet and doing yoga, far beyond filling up your life with pleasure and fine experiences all the time. Believe me, self-love tools are great, but it's like treating the branches of a tree without treating the roots. And I love to eat healthy. I love to take care of myself. I love to do yoga. I love to give myself epic experiences and to live an epic life. But doing those things didn't strengthen my identity. and it didn't bring me the emotional fulfillment and healing that I needed. They bring me explosions of joy, yes, but they are temporary. It doesn't solve the problem, the real problem. Because even after an epic day, after doing my gratitude journal and saying my affirmations, deep inside, somewhere hidden in there, I would still feel miserable. I would feel insecure. And that hidden uncomfortable feeling like if I didn't belong in this world. That sense of anguish and loneliness haunting me that I couldn't explain with words. It was a fact. I didn't feel loved. Now that's my story, but it might sound like yours as well. And it was only when I decided to go deeper, to change that, to go through a process, to find out why I had to fight with my emotions just to feel a little bit alright all the time, every day. I said enough and I looked for help. It was at this point of my life that I came across coaching. And today with certainty I can say it was an answer of God in my life, a gift from heaven. And by going through the process, a self-knowledge process, working with professionals, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, with proven tools, with a proven method, I discovered things about myself that would change my life forever. By living an immersive experience, I discovered that I was infected, that I had a deep root of rejection, that important people in my life and important events in my childhood had generated and planted a strong seed of rejection here. And the fact that I grew up in a very violent, unsafe, lacking and unloving environment, not because my parents didn't love me, of course they loved me, they gave me the best they could with what they had. But I'm talking about how my child felt in the circumstance around me, with what was happening there, with those events, with what was said and what was done. It's how my child felt in that environment. So that was the perfect soil and the perfect fuel to make that seed of rejection grow roots and become a tree inside my heart. And like a tree of rejection, it gives fruits of rejection. And one of them came in the format of a distorted identity, a distorted self-image, and emotional dysfunctions. So having an untreated root of rejection is destroying not only your emotional life, but it's destroying your purpose and everything you were born to be. People think that rejection is only about what your parents did to you, but it's actually about how your emotional child felt and her interpretation of what they did. So if your child grew up with people in an environment, with events and circumstances that made this child feel abandoned, and more than that, it made this child understand that I'm not loved, I'm not wanted, I'm not safe, I'm not worth it, I don't deserve good things, I don't belong here, I'm at fault, I'm wrong, I'm a mistake, I'm not special, I'm not important. Then who am I? What am I? I'm rejected. And if what I'm saying sounds familiar to you, I can tell you with almost 100% of certainty that's how your inner child feels. That's what your inner child believes. And that inner child is you. It's how you feel. And that's where your agents of sabotage will take place and take the command in your life, damaging everything. It's time to grow up into your real identity. Heal the girl and the woman in you will appear. heal the boy, and the man in you will appear. I did it. I went through this process, and so can you. And for that, there are a few steps that you need to go through. First, you get to know your wound, to identify it, to acknowledge that it exists, always with courage, with truth, and with humility. Second, you understand why it exists. What was the event, the situation that produced that wound, and so you can re-signify that memory. Number 3, acknowledge the person you have been. Acknowledge the consequences and the bitter price you're paying for having those untreated wounds, and decide to heal, decide to change. And number 4, live the process. Not in your own way. There is a proven method for this. My transformational process took me emotional intelligence, Method Assist 2019, spiritual intimacy with God, and individual coaching and mentoring. And you need to know something. The process never ends. It's like playing video game. Remember Super Mario Bros? You just changed to a new phase. I'm on a new phase now. The challenge from before, the blockages from before, the issues from before, they are behind me. And on each phase, as you move forward, you're gonna need new tools, new abilities, new skills, and new rewards as well. So the process never ends, and you need to start now. So go through your process. Do what needs to be done. Only then true healing can take place. You can be complete again and write a new story. There is a verse in an ancient book of wisdom that says, "Know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And that's what happens when you treat your roots. You face the truth. And by applying each step of the methodology, I was able to restore my emotional life, to activate my real identity, be my purpose. So all that anguish in my chest, the anxiety that dried my bones, and the depression, they're all gone. And I never had to coexist with them again. When your real identity is restored, when the root of rejection is healed, you become then the woman and the man that the one who created you made you to be. You become the one who is now able to live all of God's promises for your life, to make dreams come true, to take all your small and big projects out of the paper and make them come true, to realize them, and to have a really abundant and prosperous life that goes beyond material wealth, but where there is also emotional wealth, to live the extraordinary in all spheres of your life. So for those who are watching this video and can identify with what I'm saying, you need to know that a tree is only capable to give fruits according to its roots. So you can't produce good fruits with an infected root. So if you haven't started to treat your roots yet, do it. Do it now. Real self-love only showed up in my life when I went through this process, adding to a lifestyle that I already had, and I believe you have it too. What I'm saying is that self-love rituals will not make you feel loved. You will feel loved when you connect to the real source of love. When you go through a process of restoration of your identity, reprogramming your beliefs, deconstructing all the lies that have been said about you, especially back there to your inner child. Wounds that are still bleeding inside of you. And even if you haven't noticed yet, they do have a consequence. Maybe it's your love life, maybe it's your finances, maybe it's your spiritual life, your emotional life for sure. Maybe it's all of them, as it was for me. But I want you to know that there is a place of honor waiting for you on the other side of this. on the other side of your tears, on the other side of your loneliness, on the other side of you trying so hard to make things work for you. However, if you are not ready to dive into your process yet, I have one tip for you to put into practice today. Let me read something from an ancient book of wisdom. 1 John chapter 4. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. So what do I learn from that? There are 3 dimensions of love, and it starts vertically. I feel loved by my Creator, and because I feel loved by my Creator, I am now able to love myself truly, because now I can see myself through His eyes, my real self. And when these 2 dimensions exist, you are now able to truly love others horizontally. To love your partner, to love your husband, your wife, your children, your parents, your friends. So the tip is connect to the real source of love, so you can feel truly loved and be able to love others truly, in the way that they deserve and in the way that you deserve too. Anything other than that will be mostly a projection of our emotional dependency, our addictions, and that's okay. We are humans. We are a work in progress. And remember, it's a process. And the process doesn't end. It's a lifestyle. And we keep growing from glory to glory, from glory to glory. Once I heard from Joyce Meyer that I'm not where I want to be, but I'm no longer where I was before. And that's my win. Change happens really fast when you start running back to the future that God planned and dreamed for you. My friend, the best days of your life are yet to come. Believe that. Know that. So if you want to feel loved, here is another tip. Whenever you find yourself in a moment of anxiety or depression, and you hear yourself thinking, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving of good things, I'm not loved, I'm not good enough, all this negative thinking. Whenever you find yourself in that state, just remember to confess with your mouth your real identity. And what is that? That's what your Creator says about you. So take that ancient book of wisdom and read, and there you will find that you are loved, that you belong, that you have purpose, that you are chosen, that you are special, that you are unique, that you are accepted. Read it, confess it, write it, visualize it, feel it. Make it no longer a belief, but make it a fact. Every day in your life, in every situation, make it be a fact. And how you make it a fact? By owning it, by applying it, by living it. It is proven that figures of authority in our childhood are the ones with the most power to impact our belief system. So just like your parents might have done or said something to you that created those wounds that you now have, not because they wanted to. Your parents, they loved you, I repeat. They did the best they could with what they had. But in fact, they were victims of other victims. They were giving to you what they received themselves, right? But they did their best. So in the same way, in order to heal those wounds, it takes a big authority in your life to give you a new perspective, to tell you who you are, to show you who you are, to say who you really are, to show you your real value, and to give you purpose and identity again. And who would be the greatest authority in your life to tell you that, if not your own Creator? Who would know you better than your own Creator? the one who made you. Only the one who made you can tell you who you are. Don't let anything else define you. You are loved beyond measure before the foundation of the world. Someone has your name tattooed on the palm of his hand. And I will help you access this real love, so you never have to feel that void of loneliness and emptiness in your chest again. Remember, you are loved. Feel loved by the one who created you. And if you know this video was for you, please comment here, I am loved by God. And if you're ready to dive into a beautiful new chapter, come with me, I want to help you. Beijo. Love you. And by the way, I'm gonna go to my training now.